I'm Celeste. Welcome to my BookTube channel, A Reader's Almanac. The film footage that I just shared with you were some shots from a walk that I took last evening. Isn't it beautiful? We live near a farm. And they had pumpkins out front, and across the road from them in the field were sunflowers, row after row, and then the moon came out. It was building up to the harvest moon, and so it was just like a quintessential cozy fall day, and we had a lovely walk. So it is October. I'm so excited. Autumn is really officially my favorite time of year, and I'm looking outside. It was a little questionable for a while because we were having days where it was still like 85 degrees yet, and the sun was beating down, and we actually had a drought. So that was a little weird for the beginning of October, but now it has cooled off, and the trees in front of the farm here, the leaves are gently falling to the ground. It's very overcast out. In fact, it's been raining, which we have been needing, so I'm very thankful for that. And so today I just wanted to share some of the books that I've been enjoying in October and ones that I still plan on reading. Now, before I get to that, I did want to share just two little purchases that I made recently that I thought were just so cute. The first one is this t-shirt to get myself in the spirit for October reading and fall reading, and it is this one here. Isn't that cute? I just love the cat on there. We don't own a cat, but in my lifetime I have owned a number of cats. So I just thought that was a super cute t-shirt. And then the other thing I had picked up was actually at our local store where we buy our bird feed and our suet. And so this is like a refrigerator magneted grocery list pad. And the owls on there are just so adorable. I love that. It's an oversized kind of chunky pad. You know, I love my paper crafts and I love making things, so I may actually make a cover for this, kind of like a notebook cover, and then attach a pen holder and a pen to it so that I can carry it in my purse and bring it with me to the store. Okay, so as I said, it is the spooky time of year. Halloween is at the end of this month, and so some of the books that I'm going to show you are a little bit spooky, and I think what I'm going to do actually is start with the ones that I've been reading already, like the ones I've started or even finished in some cases, and then the ones I'm reading now, and then finally at the end, some of the ones that I hope to get to. So first of all, in my last video, when I was up in Canada visiting my sister, I did share that our book club is reading Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. And this is just a stunning retelling of the Brothers Grimm's The Six Swans. And so far, I am absolutely loving it. I have never read anything by Juliet Marillier before. This is my very first book by that author, and it is really just enchanting. And I do love this cover as well. This is a old edition. I think this is the first edition, actually, of this book. I love this kind of illuminated manuscript letter, sort of like you would see in the Book of Kells or something like that. And this is about a girl named Sorika and her 6 brothers. And the 6 brothers are put under an enchantment by the evil Una, who is the stepmother. It goes on from there. I'm only almost halfway through. We're only doing 2 chapters a week, so it is a very slow burn. It's slow going. I'm chipping away at it. I am going to be reading this until probably the first week of November. So I read several chapters of this per week and then move on to other things that I'm reading. But so far it's really stunning. She just excels at description, at character development, and at creating a very mystical, magical, fairy tale-esque sense of place. So I'm really enjoying this so far. Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier. The next book that I've really been having a lot of fun with is actually a children's book, although it's fine for readers of all ages, and it is the Random House book of ghost stories. That's going to be shining in the light a little bit, but let me see if I can get this up close for you. And this was originally published in England as the Walker Book of Ghost Stories, but in the United States it's the Random House Book of Ghost Stories. And the artwork carries around to the back here, and this is just such a delight so far. First of all, there's artwork by Angela Barrett, one of my favorite children's book illustrators, and I will share some of her artwork with you from this collection. And it is edited, if you can see here, by Susan Hill of the Woman in Black fame. So, you know, you can't go far wrong with this combo of editor and illustrator. And then just take a look at some of the authors who contributed ghost stories to this anthology. Eleanor Fargion, we have George Mackay Brown, Ruth Manning Sanders with The Kindly Ghost, Little Nim by Joan Aiken, and then we have a story by Penelope Lively called Uninvited Ghosts, and there's also a story by Susan Hill in this collection, as well as many others. And it is just delightful so far. They're very simple, fairly quick stories. So it's perfect for keeping by your bedside table. But the illustrations by Angela Barrett are just absolutely delightful. There's one, and that is from the story Jimmy Takes Vanishing Lessons. So that's that one. And then I'll show you another one. Give me just a second here. Then this is an illustration from a short story called Newell by an author named Jan Mark. This is a particularly spooky illustration. I love it. I absolutely love the black, white, gray, charcoal. It's just perfect. The use of shadows. So this is a delightful collection, and I've been reading one story per night. And what I really like about this is I often take the dust jacket off when I'm reading a book, and when you take it off, it's the same thing underneath. So you still get to enjoy the cover artwork. And then next, I finally got to read a rather chunky book from the Victorian period that I've been wanting to read for a long time. And I say I'm going to read it every year. I never get to it. Well, I finally got to it this year. And that is Uncle Silas by Sheridan Le Fanu, and or J. Sheridan Le Fanu. And this is a sensation novel. In fact, a lot of what I read for this October would be considered sensation writing. And so this is about a teenage girl named Maud Ruthin. She's the narrator of the story. And she lives with her father, who's kind of an eccentric man, in a spooky old house. And he decides that she needs a governess. And so they send this very sinister woman, Madame de la Rougière, to come teach Maud. And there's other characters that come in and out. Well, eventually Maud has to, for various reasons, go live with her father's brother, Uncle Silas, at his country home. And even more spooky and unsettling things happen there. And it becomes a novel about sinister characters with motives. Maud has an inheritance that she's supposed to receive, and we meet in this desolate setting, we meet her very creepy, strange cousin and his sister, who Maud actually befriends. There are some characters standing up for Maud in this book, some other relations and friends of the family, but then there is also the very strange Uncle Silas. And I've been sort of listening in tandem to this on Audible, as well as reading the physical novel. And it's a very good recording of it done by Naxios, and I enjoyed it so much. The narrator was quite good, and they have spooky music in the beginning. And this is the first Sheridan Le Fanu I've ever actually read, and he is very good. He is quite skilled at describing things. And it actually starts in November, so the very beginning is "It was winter," that is about the second week in November, and great gusts were rattling at the windows and wailing and thundering among our tall trees and ivied chimneys. A very dark night and a very cheerful fire blazing, a pleasant mixture of good round coal and spluttering dry wood in a genuine old fireplace in a somber old room. So very well written. It's definitely sensationalist, sort of Penny Dreadful-ish, but it's good. So I'm so happy that I finally got to read Uncle Silas by Sheridan Le Fanu. By the way, I read that for the annual Victober challenge. Victober is hosted by Katy Lumsden of Books and Things, and Kate Howe from Kate Howe, and several other booktubers whose information I will list below. I think at this point almost everybody knows what Victober is, but this is a particularly special year because it's apparently their 10-year anniversary. And so I think this year have 10 hosts and 10 prompts and lots of fun things going on. And so, I'll post some information below the video in case you'd like to check out Victober and what goes on and what the prompts are and all of that. I'm approaching it very loosely this year. I have participated more substantially in past years, but this year I'm just kind of reading some Victorian works and leaving it at that. The second book in that vein that I did finish so far in the month of October is The Sign of Four by Arthur Conan Doyle. I think this counts. I never actually ended up looking up the year that this was published. The Sign of Four was first published in 1890, so cool. I am set with this one. Goodness, I'm glad because I've already read it. This is a very good story by Arthur Conan Doyle, and this is about a young woman named Mary Marston, and her father vanished 10 years ago, and he was serving in the military, and he disappeared, and then she started to receive these mysterious pearls in the mail, one every year, and so she is urging Holmes and Watson to come along with her to, figure out the mystery of what happened to her father, why she has this mysterious benefactor, etc. I love that in the Granada television series starring Jeremy Brett, that John Thaw made an appearance. He's one of my favorite old actors, and that's he was Morse in the original Inspector Morse series. So he will always have a place in my heart. But John Thaw guest starred in this episode. In the book, Mary Marston becomes John Watson's wife. So that is Mary, who becomes Mary Watson. So it's a special story. It holds a special place in my heart. It's very brief. You could read it in, a day or a weekend. I love Sherlock Holmes, and it wouldn't be autumn if I didn't have at least one Sherlock Holmes in the mix. So this year it was The Sign of Four. Well, this is also the year that I've been exploring a lot of Robert Louis Stevenson's works, and so would you believe I had never read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? I've certainly seen many movies made from this story, and also graphic novels, comic books, etc., but never actually read the story. So I thought I would finally do that this year, and I did. I had read some biography on Robert Louis Stevenson and his wife earlier in the summer, which was quite good. And so I've followed it up with this. And this is basically the story of a friend of Dr. Jekyll's, and he is a respectable lawyer, and he is trying to figure out what's going on with his friend and why he has become such a close associate of the very strange and sinister seeming Mr. Hyde. And there's a will involved and an inheritance and strange spooky goings on again in an old house in England, and wonderful descriptions of the fog-bound city streets at night and all of that. And so, I'm about halfway through. I'm also listening to this in addition to reading it. I'm listening to it on Audible, and the narrator is Richard Armitage. Be Still My Heart. I love Richard Armitage, also of North and South fame, but he's a marvelous narrator. He has such a rich and evocative voice. He's just wonderful. And so, so I'm listening to that, and I am reading this. And additionally, I also invested in a few books from Blackwell's, and one that I invested in for this Victober specifically is the Annotated Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This is a lovely hardbound book, and this is edited by Leslie S. Klinger, and it is introduced by Joe Hill, who is a horror writer and also, of course, the son of Stephen King, and he's written Heart-Shaped Box and lots of things. Black Telephone, is it? I haven't read or seen that, but in any event, this is lavishly illustrated. This is a wonderful accompaniment to your enjoyment of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It has plain end papers, but once you get into the actual story, sometimes with annotated works that are oversized, almost coffee table books, it's actually kind of hard to read them. So this one, though, is fairly lightweight and still contains so much wonderful information. It's got illustrations throughout. It's got the footnotes along the two outer edges of each page. And the actual text of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is wonderful. I'll just read you one little description here. It was a fine, dry night. Frost in the air, the streets as clean as a ballroom floor, the lamps unshaken by any wind, drawing a regular pattern of light and shadow. it's just lovely. Very evocative writing. It's got stills, movie stills from all the different movies that were made of it. One of the more famous ones being with Frederick March, the actor. It's got timelines. It's got maps. It has little examples of Robert Louis Stevenson's writing. So this to me is just a treasure. It's so enriching my understanding of Stevenson and his world, and this little novel / novella that he wrote very quickly, almost in a fever dream. So yeah, it's fascinating and I'm loving it. Here's some more movie stills from it. It's also got some archival things like describing things about street lamps and house keys and, newsboys on the street and what they looked like at the time, and artwork from the time, just so many different things. So if you are interested in the Victorian era and you are interested in Robert Louis Stevenson, I would say this is a really good, solid addition to anyone's library. Okay, and then some of the other books that I am enjoying right now is kind of coffee table books or reading chair books or bedside table books, are primarily nonfiction works. And the first is this beautiful illustrated edition of Murder Ballads. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I really love folklore. I love folk music. I used to sing in a band, actually, that had banjos and fiddle and ukulele and all of that. And I was the singer. And I did that for quite a few years, including when I was pregnant with my son. So that was kind of interesting. But this is called Murder Ballads, Illustrated Lyrics and Lore by Katy Horan, or Horan. And I love the illustrations in here. And there's just a bunch of well-known folk songs, ballads, and rounds from history, and their background and variations on them. And then there's a list of notable recordings, recommended readings, etc. One that I know in here is The Twa Sisters, and then another one, of course, is Rose Connolly. It's just a fascinating book and a great addition to anyone's library if they're interested in folklore and music. And then additionally, I also picked up this beautiful, beautiful volume called The League of Lady Poisoners. Now, I'm a little bit late to the party on this one. This came out several years ago, but it's new to me. Look, this cover with the green. It's beautiful. And look at the lady on the back there. And this is Illustrated True Stories of Dangerous Women. And first of all, the end papers are really cute and clever. And then I love the illustrations in here. And so yeah, this is by a woman named Lisa Perrin, and she is a professor at the Maryland Institute College of Art. This is her. And she actually wrote and illustrated this book, which I think is really, really neat. And yeah, I love that she dedicated it here for my parents, who really hoped my first book would be a nice children's picture book. So that's kind of funny. And then look at this. Every page has something really interesting on it, and I've not finished it yet, but I'm truly, truly enjoying in a very macabre way, but also as a lover of history and social history, all of these instances of women throughout history who have used poison for various reasons, and they had various motivations. But, you know, it talks about women in the Tudor era, in the Victorian era, in the Regency era, and all the way up to sort of the present day, and why they did it and what kind of poison they used. And in fact, in the front of this book is a whole compendium of poisonous plants, poisonous animals. There's a timeline. She calls it a poison primer. And so it's just really a cool book. It's a beautiful book. And I just love things like this. I've always been interested in plants, flowers, folklore. I love learning about poisonous plants, like, for example, in relation to the works of Agatha Christie, and I have that book as well called A is for Arsenic. So yeah, it's kind of a morbid subject, but a fascinating one. So yeah, The League of Lady Poisoners, and I love how that has kind of a Victorian / steampunk look to it and title. So yeah, I also, speaking of beautiful foiled hardcover volumes, I also picked up this book from DK, which is A History of Ghosts, Spirits, and the Supernatural. And this is also a beautiful book, and there's a lot of different topics in this particular series by DK. And this is one of those books you can pick up and put down at leisure. And it gives you like the ancient history of ghosts. This is like such a rich resource. It's encyclopedic. You know, if you want to know about poltergeists, ghosts in different cultures and what they're called, famous ghost stories from around the world. There's even a reading list for that in here. Up into the Victorian era, when seances and the occult became extremely popular. This section here is called Terrifying Tales, the Golden Age of the Ghost Story. The illustrations throughout this book are absolutely lovely. I could just sit and look at this all day. Here's another one in here, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which is, of course, from my neck of the woods, sort of. Spirit photography. It goes into the equipment that a ghost hunter would bring with them. Paranormal investigation. They give you a glossary explaining all kinds of terms related to ghosts. It's just fabulous. So if anybody is interested in ghosts, ghost literature, ghosts in art, ghosts in history, ghosts in folklore, this is the book for you. I love DK. I really do. And this is a perfect example of why. Okay, and then finally, I wanted to share a few books that I might read. These are ones that I haven't gotten to yet, but I'm hoping to have time. If I can finish Daughter of the Forest and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I may have time to get to these. And the first is Sylvia Townsend Warner, Lolly Willowes. Now, I shared a book, a copy of Lolly Willowes a year or two ago, actually. But right after I made that video, one of my friends watched the video very kindly. She supports my channel. And she immediately asked me if I would mind giving her that book so that she could gift it to a friend. And so I, of course, complied because I would do anything for this friend. She's lovely. And so I never got another copy of it and never ended up having a chance to read it. So I recently saw someone discussing this on BookTube, a booktuber that I like and follow. She had this particular copy by Penguin. I thought it was beautiful and very autumnal. So I said, you know, I haven't ever gotten back to Lolly Willowes, and I would really like to learn more about Sylvia Townshend Warner. Now, this book is a story of Lolly Willowes. She's the main character, and she is very put upon by her over-assuming relatives and sort of made to do the housework and all of that. She's unmarried, and so they kind of presume a lot. You know, she has to be the babysitter, and, you know, she has to help out everybody with everything, and they kind of walk all over her. And so she decides to leave and go on her own to the country and becomes a witch. This was written, I believe, in the 30s, and, you know, for that time period, I think it's just marvelous, a marvelous idea for a story. And I have been wanting to read something by Sylvia Townshend Warner for quite a while, so I'm really looking forward to this little slim book on Lolly Willowes. And I hope to read more Sylvia Townshend Warner as we head toward winter. I've already ordered several books, which I'll be sharing with you in a future video. And finally, since I have finished Uncle Silas by Sheridan and Fanu, and I did enjoy it quite a lot, if there's time, I may also sneak in a read of Carmilla, and this is, of course, Le Fanu's vampire tale, and supposedly the forerunner of Bram Stoker's Dracula. This has been making the rounds on BookTube. Everybody's been talking about it, and of course this is a beautiful paperback with the sprayed edges. Some readers, it has mixed reviews. Some readers really love it. A lot of younger readers, for some reason, find it quite slow and much prefer some of the retellings that are coming out. I'm good with all of it and want to read all of it, but I thought before I read any modern retellings, I would start with the original source material. So it's quite short. I don't see why I can't get to it. It is a dark sapphic romance that inspired Dracula, and this particular beautiful volume is by Pushkin Press. So yeah, that is Carmilla. I hope that you are having a marvelous October so far, and that the weather is great wherever you are and very autumnal. Please let me know in the comments below what you're reading. Are you participating in Victober or any other challenges this month? Are you reading anything gothic, anything spooky, witchy? Let me know. I always love getting suggestions. And just by way of reminder, be sure to like the video and be sure to leave me some kind of a comment down below, even if it's just like a pumpkin emoji, because, you know, we all have to deal with this silly algorithm, and engagement comments really help these videos see a wider audience and reach more people. And, you know, expanding the conversation and developing it, that's a good thing. That's what we want, right? So if you watched this, if you enjoyed it, please say thank you by leaving me a pumpkin emoji down in the comments, or a full comment. I'd like that even better. In any event, I hope you're having a lovely weekend. Have a wonderful week. I hope you're having a lovely October, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.